Hi guys, so I was asked by a number of you on the channel to respond to this YouTube Brexiteer. His name is Mahyar Tousi. I apologize to Mahyar if I'm mispronouncing his name, I probably am. But he uploaded this video recently about Brexit, so let's hear what he has to say and I'll add some comments.
The British government have officially confirmed that the UK is now ready to leave without a trade deal on WTO terms. Throughout these old negotiations with the EU, the UK cabinet have been, as a bluff, as a negotiating tactic, been telling Michel Barnier's team that we are more than happy to leave without a deal.
Sorry, how would it be a negotiating bluff or tactic if we know about it? It's like, this is their tactic, but Michel Barnier doesn't know about it, but you do. How is it a tactic then? Do you think that Michel Barnier doesn't have access to British media or YouTube even?
But now things are changing. It's becoming more of a guarantee rather than just words, because all the other trade talks with South Korea, New Zealand, the US, they are now going really well. And Liz...
They're going really well? Really? Can you provide some evidence to support that?
Truss has now said that those potential trade deals will be ready to sign the moment we leave the transition period at the...
Okay, so the ball, as always, the can is continually kicked down the road. First of all, it was, we will have trade deals ready the day we leave the European Union. That was in the 31st of January. Now we're in almost halfway through June. When do these trade deals arrive? Now you're talking about, oh, well, when we leave the transition period, we will have these trade deals. Do you actually believe Liz Truss when she says this? I don't believe her. I don't believe the government when they say, yeah, we're going to have a trade deal, because they made promises before. They said, as soon as we'll have trade deals ready, there'll be countries queuing up to do trade deals with us as the day we leave the European Union. That hasn't materialized. So the people who told you that either made a mistake or they lied. You decide.
The end of December, which means Barnier's team need to change their behavior. Now,
this is the problem with the Brexiteers. They think that Barnier, anyway, it's not Barnier that will decide, it's the European Union. It's the member states that decide. So this focus on Barnier doesn't make a lot of sense, because Barnier is there to represent the member states. It's them at the end of the day that decide, not Barnier. He's the conduit. Okay. But also this idea that they don't understand that the European Union are not desperate to get a deal with the UK. They would prefer to have a deal. They don't want chaos. They don't want problems. But as I've said before, they will always put European integration ahead of anything else. They don't want the European Union to fracture. So, in a way, if they gave the UK a priority and the UK done swimmingly out of it, then other countries would start to say, well, actually, maybe we should leave as well because we can get a good deal. Do you not understand that it's not in the European Union's interest to give the UK whatever they want? So by saying we're going to walk away, they would actually prefer you to walk away. But this is the thing that Brexiteers don't seem to understand. European integration is more important than taking a financial hit.
In the Telegraph, we have...
Oh my God, it's okay, we're going to the Telegraph. So we definitely know we're using facts and not opinions.
The number 10 team warning the EU that they must kick things into gear over the trade talks or risk no deal. So we're going to look into this article in this video. I know this is supposed to be my daily vlog at 8 PM, but as those of you who follow me on Twitter know that I've just moved to a new flat. So I'm just going to do the video here. Also, obviously, once a week, we answer the questions we get from the members of this channel. So we're going to answer all that. There's a lot to cover in this video, so make sure to watch the whole thing.
This video is 16.29 minutes long. Okay, 16 and a half minutes long. I'm not going to respond to all of it. Otherwise, my video would be an hour long, and I'm not going to keep you on an hour.
Now, this article is talking about how Barnier is complaining again, saying that the UK has been taking a step back, 2 steps back, 3 steps back from...
Do you not understand political theatre and negotiations? Of course he's going to say these things about the UK. It's about the negotiations. Now, maybe he's telling the truth, or maybe he's using it to prepare the ground for the European member states to say, look, this is what the UK is like. This is what you're dealing with. Or maybe it's a tactic. But you can't just assume, especially from the Telegraph, you know, it's a Brexiteer newspaper. You're taking information from a Brexiteer newspaper and pretend, and you as a Brexiteer, so you're not able to actually see it clearly. You're taking an opinion and then presenting your opinion on top of it.
The original commitments. What? How? When did this ever happen? Yeah, in today's edition of Things That Never Happened, the UK's red lines have always been clear since January when we left and we stopped being a member. This is not the Theresa May's team you're dealing with. This is Boris Johnson. And they
yes, reliable Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson who never lies to anyone. Boris Johnson who's always consistent. Boris Johnson who went to Northern Ireland and said there will be no border down the Irish Sea, and then his government later said, yes, we're putting a border down the Irish Sea.
David Frost has been very good, and it's been very clear. No level playing field, no fisheries, no direct links to the customs union. ECJ cannot have...
But if you're leaving without a deal, then why is this a concern for you? This is the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. He's talking about, well, we don't need to follow any of these things because we're leaving without a deal. Now, let me explain why we're not going to accept any of these things. Yes, but if you're leaving without a deal, then why are you making a 16.5-minute video about your concerns?
Have a direct rule over us. Just stop this madness. And one of the...
Rule over us? What are you talking about?
British government sources, a senior source, has said that it is the UK that is driving any progress being made in this negotiation. The Commission are either not ready or not willing to inject momentum. They need to put some political reality into their approach and appreciate that they cannot use their usual tactic of delay to drag the talks into the autumn. By then it will be too late, as businesses need to know what to prepare for with as much time as is practicable. It's true, because...
But you don't understand that this is all theatre. But once again, as I said before, if you're going for a no deal, then this is not a concern. Why are you concerned about talks dragging on until the autumn if your goal is a no deal?
I think, unlike what we had with Theresa May, which talks kept going to the end, I think the British government will either end up getting some sort of skinny trade deal in the next 2-3 months before September, October, or by September, October, the government will give up, probably October actually, give about a couple of months time, and we'll give up and say, you know, this is it. Businesses need to get ready for WTO, and it should be fine because everything's already in place. And we'll have the EU coming back to crawl to beg for something to happen.
You really believe that? You really believe that? So you'll leave on WTO terms, and then what will happen? So imagine you go on to WTO terms. Then what happens after Brexit? Do you not understand how there are countries like Australia and New Zealand who are willing to take the UK to court over Brexit? They're also willing to take the EU to court over Brexit. So you're going to have fights in the WTO over agreements that you had signed as part of an EU member. So they're having problems with that. Then if you want to trade with the European Union, you're going to have to negotiate with them. So this is the thing you don't hear from Brexiteers. What happens the day after Brexit? WTO. Yeah, but if you want to sell goods or services to France, for example, the day after Brexit, how is it going to work? Or we'll use WTO. Yeah, but WTO doesn't cover services, for example. It covers goods. So if you want to sell services to France, to Germany, to Italy, to Spain, how are you going to do it? You'll do it by having a trade deal, by negotiating. But you won't be doing it directly with those countries. You'll be doing it with, who is it? The EU. So all of this talk about, well, we're going to get a deal. If we don't get what we want, we'll just walk away. And then what happens? The day after Brexit, when you want to sell your goods and services to the European Union countries, you'll go back to them and you say, we want a deal. Now, the problem here is that if Boris Johnson is still in charge, I don't know whether he still will be in charge by next year, but that's a different issue. But if he's still in charge and he's talking about tearing up agreements and not doing what the European Union want and agreeing one thing one day and then changing his mind the next day, what sort of body, such as the EU or any country, not even just the EU, imagine Boris Johnson says, I'm not going to respect any agreements with the EU. I'm going to tear them up because I don't like them. I honestly don't think he would do that. But in Brexiters' minds, he would do that because he's hard or tough or something. Imagine Boris Johnson tears up an agreement with the EU. Then he goes to the United States and says, I want to have a trade deal with you. I want to have agreement with you. How would they react? Oh, well, you're not exactly reliable because you said to the EU, I respect the trade deals. I respect the agreements. And now I'm deciding to tear them up because I don't like part of them. Why should we treat you as an honest broker, as an honest character, as someone who cares about an agreement? Why would Australia treat you with respect? Why would New Zealand? Because we used to be an empire. No, that doesn't wash anymore. Let's hear what else he has to say. I'm not going to go on for too long with this because I just see the same recycled arguments once again. It's, they need us more than we need them, and they are going to come crawling on their hands and knees towards us, and we're going to get a deal, but if we don't like some part of it, we're going to go out without a deal, and then we'll just go to WTO and everything will be fantastic, and everyone loves us and everyone will do whatever they can. They're queuing up to do trade deals with us, even though we're now in June and they're not.
This is a very fascinating development because we were kind of afraid of the last couple of months, thinking Boris Johnson's team might just give in last minute, because we're talking about the June deadline, because June is when both sides have to agree if they want to extend the transition. That's not happening. So this is the last chance. This is the round 4 of the negotiation.
What do you mean that's not happening? Are you talking about I assume he's talking about the legislation that Boris Johnson put in Parliament. Yes, but if Boris Johnson is the government and they have a majority in Parliament, they can undo that legislation. It's not fixed it's not set in stone. Parliament can undo parliamentary legislation.
Negotiations just started yesterday, and things could rapidly change from the EU side because they're in a financial crisis. They definitely need us as a partner.
Once again, you don't understand the core pillars of the European Union. You think it's all about money. You think it's all about trade. You think it's all about goods and services. That's important, yes. But that's not their core belief. I don't know, is it because you don't know it? Or you're pretending not to know it? Or you're assuming it's not? Or you're thinking that, well, they just care about money and, they don't want to lose the UK as a member or as a potential market. It's bigger than that. Look at the European Union. Look at its integration within how it integrates within its member states. Look at how it treats its citizens. Look at how there is an integration not just on trade, on money, but also on healthcare, on environmental standards, environmental projects and initiatives, on history, on education. there's so much integration. It's not just about trade. Brexiteers seem to think it's just about trade. It's much bigger than that. And they are willing to, as I said before, take a financial hit, maybe even a considerable one, to protect the union.
They should just stop being children. Now, as I said, we have a lot of questions from the members, so on this issue and other issues as well, with everything's happening these days, especially in America.
Okay. I'm going to end it here. It's going to go to an ad, and I'm not going to show you the ad. It's not fair for you. But once again, I'm just seeing the same old arguments rehashed, recycled. They need us. We need them. Sorry, they need us more than we need them. We're going to go to a trade deal. We're going to get a trade deal. If we don't like it, we're going to go to no deal. Everything's going to be rosy. People, there are countries and people queuing up to do trade deals with us. Okay, even though they said it would happen back in January and it didn't, now it's in June and it's not. But don't worry, it'll be at the end of the year. And then when the end of the year comes, don't worry, it'll be the end of 2022 or 2025, or it'll be the end of the decade. By the end of the decade, we'll have the best trade deals in the world. That will be the rhetoric. He's regarded as some sort of expert on Brexit, but his understanding of the core beliefs of the EU are extremely limited. I've made mistakes and I've attempted to correct them. I'm not an expert on the EU. I'm not an expert on Brexit. But I can see how reality cuts through the rhetoric. At the core, the core problem, I think, is that Brexiteers see it as trade, and that's it. We need to sell cars, they need to buy cars. We need to sell fish, they need to buy fish. What's the problem here? Give us a trade deal and everything's fine. It's much bigger than that. The European Union care about environmental standards. They care about workers' rights. They care about product standards. They care about many things that are integrated economically, politically, socially. And until you understand that just take this simple message, until you understand this simple message, that I don't think you're going to understand the EU. They would prefer to take a hit financially than to sacrifice European integration. If you can take that away from my response, I'd be extremely happy. Think about that. Go away, think about that for a moment, and then come back and talk about no deals and selling fish and German car industry willing to put pressure on politicians to get deals and stuff like this. Think about that and then come back with a response. Thanks for listening, guys. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated if you want to add them. I hope I answered to this guy sufficiently. I'll see about responding maybe to other videos in the future. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments section. Thanks. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun. If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.